Have you ever felt stuck in a cycle, repeating patterns that don't make sense to you? Are your choices and results really yours, or are you carrying something from the past, something inherited without realizing it? Today, we're going to explore something that can completely change your outlook on the obstacles you face. Have you ever heard of hereditary blockages? These are emotional and behavioral patterns that we pass from generation to generation without even realizing it. Many times, these blockages have no logic or explanation, but they become real in our lives. They affect everything, from our health to our financial, love, and professional lives. I met a businessman, a very successful plastic surgeon. He was on a roll building a top-notch practice in his city. But he had a constant problem with money. No matter how hard he worked, the money always seemed to slip away from him. He took out loans, invested in new businesses, but always ended up losing. What was going on? After all, he was a competent doctor with good marketing strategies and a successful practice. When we went to investigate, we discovered something surprising. He was deeply angry with his father, who had gone bankrupt years before. His father, a highly successful man in the past, lost everything during the color government crisis, and his life was never the same again. The son, upon seeing his father's failure, made a promise to himself: "I will never go through financial difficulties." However, the anger he held towards his father, the attitude of wanting to do everything differently, made him repeat it. The same financial mistakes. Even with his successful practice, he found himself constantly in financial difficulties, repeating the same mistakes he hated so much. In this video, I'm going to show you how these blocks may be stopping you from reaching your true potential and how you can start breaking these chains, transforming your life. Stay with me until the end, as I'll tell you real stories of people who have faced hereditary blocks and managed to overcome them. To understand how these blockages form, it is important to know a concept called epigenetic memory. In simple terms, this means that the experiences of our ancestors can leave marks on our genes, influencing our way of being and acting. For example, if one of our ancestors had a traumatic experience, this emotion can be passed on to subsequent generations. It's as if, in our DNA, we store not only biological information, but also the feelings and experiences of those who came before us. At the same time, there is ancestral wisdom, which refers to the learning and patterns that we inherit from our families. These patterns can be both positive and negative, shaping our worldview and our reactions. We are often not aware that we are repeating behaviors that may have originated generations ago. For example, a pattern of self-sabotaging behavior may have started with a previous generation who faced financial difficulties, and now manifests itself in our own lives without us realizing it. Let's go back to the businessman's story. As we investigated further, we found another pattern that he hadn't noticed. He was also replicating his mother's story, which unfolded across multiple jobs after his father's bankruptcy. This need to work incessantly, without rest, was a reflection of the insecurity he inherited from her. The idea that you have to work endlessly to be successful without knowing when to stop made him feel always overwhelmed and without money. This illustrates well how these patterns, family members, intertwine and affect our lives, often without us being aware of it. Many of us face periods of discouragement where a lack of motivation prevents us from moving forward. This may stem from a family pattern where family members did not see their ambitions being realized. This belief that effort does not bring rewards can be rooted deeply, making us feel like success is always out of reach. Another common blockage is difficulty establishing and maintaining healthy relationships. This often relates to examples of dysfunctional relationships seen in childhood. For example, if you grew up in a home where love was associated with constant conflict, you may end up repeating this pattern in their own relationships, thinking that love is always accompanied by suffering. Financial obstacles are a direct reflection of inherited patterns. Many people, like the doctor mentioned earlier, find themselves struggling with the belief that money equals pain and frustration. They may have witnessed their families struggling financially, subconsciously causing attracted the same reality. The doctor strived to succeed, but ironically, his family patterns kept him stuck in financial difficulties. Fear of success may seem paradoxical, but it is more common than you might think. It is often linked to a desire not to distance oneself from family members who have failed to achieve their goals. It is as if success has become a betrayal of those who came before, creating a blockage that prevents us from moving forward. When someone feels guilty for thriving while others face difficulties, this fear can manifest itself in self-sabotage, such as project failures or giving up at crucial moments. Each of these blocks manifests itself in subtle but impactful ways. Whether it's in the form of poor choices, giving up at critical moments, or toxic relationships, these patterns keep us from reaching our full potential and can leave us stuck in cycles that seem impossible to break. The first step towards liberation is awareness. Identifying the patterns we are repeating, the blockages we have inherited, and the impacts this has on our lives is fundamental. Hereditary blockages often become invisible over time, but reflection about our experiences and the experiences of our family members can be the key to recognizing them. If you are stuck in a cycle that seems impossible to break, perhaps it is time to look back at your family history and ask yourself questions. What patterns am I repeating? Who did I inherit these blocks from? The biggest obstacle is often our own blindness to what is limiting us. That's why, for many people, true transformation only happens when they decide to stop and ask themselves deeply about family, emotional, and financial issues that have been passed down from generation to generation. After becoming aware of inherited patterns, comes the time of healing. Overcoming hereditary blocks is not something that happens overnight, but is a gradual process of self-knowledge and liberation. There are several powerful tools that can help you on this path. Therapy is a safe space where you can explore your emotions and past traumas. With the help of a professional, you can begin to unearth the origin of many of these blocks and understand how they still influence your life, even if you are not aware of it. Meditation creates a space of introspection, where you can observe your own thoughts and emotions without judgment. This allows you to connect with your roots and notice the negative patterns that are governing your actions. Practicing mindfulness also helps develop a more open and present mindset, essential for dissolving blocks. Family constellations are a powerful practice that aims to release entanglements and patterns within a family. With the help of a facilitator, you can observe family dynamics from a new perspective and resolve unresolved issues that have been passed down from generation to generation. This process can be transformative as it allows you to free yourself from familiar energies and patterns that do not belong to you. These tools offer a concrete path for those who want to overcome blocks and create a more balanced and prosperous life. However, it is important to remember that healing takes time and patience. It's not about finding a magical solution, but about a change in mentality and action that happens gradually. Once you have begun to recognize and heal hereditary blockages, it is time to take the next step: empowerment. Here, you become the author of your own story. You become responsible for your life, for your choices, for your results. Empowerment is the key to transforming suffering and difficulties into learning and growth. When you recognize that it is possible to change, that it can be different, you begin to realize that life is not just about what happened in the past, but about what you choose to create now. By freeing yourself from negative family cycles, you become able to make decisions that are more aligned with your values and goals. This applies to all areas of your life, whether it's your career, relationships, or health. You can finally allow yourself to be successful and prosperous because you have let go of the blocks that kept you small. It's not about erasing the past, but about honoring it in a new way. By recognizing the wisdom of the mistakes and successes of our parents and grandparents, we can build a lighter future without carrying the weight of expectations, frustrations, or old traumas. Now is your time. If you've come this far and feel like you're ready to break the family cycles, to break the patterns that limit you, I want to invite you to take the next step. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any content about how to transform your life and break down blocks that are preventing you from reaching your full potential. Activate notifications so you stay up to date with everything that can help on your journey of self-knowledge. And don't keep this content to yourself. Share with friends, family, or people you know are also struggling with these blocks. Together, we can create a freer, more prosperous generation. Remember, real change begins when you decide to be the protagonist of your own story. It's time to live without the constraints of the past and create the future you deserve.